me quickly go through all the modulations that occur in this piece. Thereby, we can discuss the tools and ideas used within. And as we've seen in the previous section, the piece first modulates from the key of G to B minor. Now from B minor, we go to the key of D, from there to the key of G, and finally the piece ends in the key of B minor. Now, to make the switch between B minor to D major, I use a popular progression called 2-5-1, where the 1 is the key of D. So that would mean the chords E minor 7 going to A7, going to D major 7 in the key of D. Now, what works for me in this case is the fact that the strategy is such that I know that B minor and D, and we all know that B minor and D are relative scales. That is, the notes of the B minor scale are the same as those of the D major scale. The B minor is the relative minor of the D major scale. All we need to do is to pivot the listener's experience such that instead of feeling as B minor as the root or B as the root, we get to make the listener feel D as the root. Let's see in the context of B minor, in the context of the piece wherein we are at this point in the chord or in the key of B minor, how that sounds, how that gravitation sounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Key of B minor. Key of D. So we've played the 2-5-7, 2-5-1, and we can clearly see how along at the end of this chord, the listener starts to get to feel that D is the root, and B no longer is the root. So that takes care of that modulation. Then we reuse this idea, the 2-5-1 idea, to move to the next key. The next key is G. And I use the same idea, that is 2-5-1. In the key of G, that would be A minor 7 going to D7 going to G major 7. Now, the second strategy that I'm using out here is also pretty simple, and it's one that is being used by composers, since really 200 years or so. The idea is pretty simple. These two keys are very close by in terms of their notes. Actually, it's just differing by one note. The key of D has the note C sharp, while G has the note C. So this idea is also pretty common, that the keys that are really close by in terms of notes, you can use to modulate between them freely, or you can use them as a middle step to modulate to probably another key. So in this case, modulating between the D to G, I also add this small phrase in the middle that really works in favor to ease that change. But remember, this is really, the progression is really the one that's causing the real push towards the root of G. Let's hear how it sounds in context from D to G. So we are at this point. And we move into the key of G. The listener gets a distinct feeling after this A minor 7 going to D7 going to G major 7. Suddenly the listener starts to feel that he's in the key of G. And that was just, we just gave it a small push using this phrase. Now I'd like to talk about two more progressions. One which reasserts an established key, an already established key, and the other one which emphasizes or concretizes the change towards a new key. I'll be talking in the key of B minor. I'm showing the examples in the key of B minor. Now the first progression goes something like this. It's the chord, the major chord on the flat 6th degree going to the major chord on the flat 3rd degree, going to the minor chord on the root or tonic degree. More specifically, I use the 7ths, and the major 7th chord on the flat 6th degree going to the major 7th chord on the flat 3rd degree going to the minor 7th chord. In the key of B minor, that will be G major 7 going to D major 7 going to B minor 7. Let's hear how it sounds in context of the piece. The key B minor 7 has already been established by this movement. The key of B minor, That's your root. we'll just reassert this root using this progression. I'll make it interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the second example, I like to use the diminished 7th chord on the flat 6th degree, going to the diminished 7th chord on the 7th degree. Notice this is not the flat 7, but it's the 7th degree. So this degree is there in the harmonic minor, not in the natural minor. And then the diminished chord on the 7th degree leads to the root minor 7th chord. I'll play this out of context first, and then I'll show where I use it in the piece. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your G diminished 7 chord going to A sharp diminished 7 going to B minor 7. Now in the piece, I'm not using this chord progression to emphasize an already established key. Rather, we are in the middle of modulating from one key to the other, and this helps to concretize that modulation or that change. Let's hear how that works in the song. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to look at the concluding part of this series and want to make note of some interesting takeaways, do check out the suggested video that's been appearing on your screens.